I never imagined my life would turn into the kind of story people whisper about behind closed doors. If you had told me 3 years ago that I'd end up scarred, humiliated, and betrayed by the very person I trusted the most, I would have laughed in your face. But that's exactly what happened. This is the story of how I fell for Melissa, how she almost destroyed me from the inside out, and how I barely managed to crawl out with pieces of my dignity still intact. When I first met Melissa, she didn't walk into my life quietly. She crashed into it like a storm. I was at a friend's birthday party, one of those crowded gatherings where the music is too loud and half the people don't even know each other. Melissa stood out instantly. She wasn't the loudest person in the room, but there was something magnetic about her. The way she tilted her head when someone spoke, the sly smile she gave when she disagreed, the confidence in her voice that made everyone lean in closer. She was intoxicating, and I was hooked from the very first conversation. We spent the whole evening talking. While others danced, drank, and shouted over the music, Melissa and I sat on the couch, knees almost touching, sharing stories about our childhoods, our goals, our disappointments. She told me about her difficult upbringing, how nobody had ever believed in her, how she always had to fight for every scrap of recognition she ever got. My heart ached for her, and at the same time, I was drawn to her resilience. By the end of the night, when she scribbled her number on a napkin and pressed it into my hand, I felt like I had just been handed a golden ticket. The first few weeks were bliss. We texted constantly, had long late-night phone calls, and went on spontaneous adventures. Melissa knew how to make every moment feel special. A late-night walk turned into a deep, philosophical conversation about life. A grocery store trip became a comedy sketch with her dramatic impressions. She had this way of turning the mundane into magic, and I was addicted to it. My friends teased me, saying I was acting like a teenager with his first crush. Maybe they were right, but I didn't care. Melissa made me feel alive in ways I never had before. But as time went on, I began to notice cracks in the foundation of what seemed like a perfect relationship. Melissa's charm had another side to it, one that wasn't so pretty. She could be cutting, even cruel, when she didn't get her way. She had a sharp tongue that could slice me open in seconds, and yet she always knew how to bandage the wound with just the right mix of apologies and affection. It was a cycle. She'd lash out, then reel me back in with sweetness, leaving me dizzy and confused. The control started subtly. She'd make comments about my friends, saying things like, "Do you really think they care about you?" Or, "I don't like how they talk to you, it feels disrespectful." At first, I brushed it off as her being protective, maybe even jealous in a cute way. But then the requests came. "Do you have to go out tonight? Why not stay with me instead?" And when I insisted on seeing my friends, she'd pout, sometimes cry, and occasionally start an argument right before I left. Eventually, it just became easier not to go out at all. My circle of friends shrank, and I didn't even realize it was happening. Money became another trap. Melissa had a decent job, but she was always short on cash. There was always some story. A car repair, an overdue bill, a check that hadn't cleared. At first, I helped willingly. What's a couple $100 when you're in love, right? But the amounts grew, and so did the frequency. She framed it as us being a team, building a life together, but I was the only one doing the actual building. My bank account drained faster than I could refill it, and yet she always managed to convince me that it was temporary, that one day we'd both laugh about these struggles. It wasn't just money or friends, it was my family too. Melissa had a way of planting seeds of doubt about everyone in my life. If my mother called, she'd roll her eyes and say, "She doesn't respect you. She treats you like a little boy." If my sister texted, Melissa would sigh. "Why does she always need your attention? Doesn't she have her own life?" Slowly, I started pulling away from them too, convinced that Melissa was the only one who truly understood me. Looking back, it's terrifying how easily I let myself be isolated. The gaslighting was relentless. I remember one night vividly. We were out at a bar, and I saw her leaning in a little too close to another guy, laughing in that way she used to laugh with me when we first met. My stomach twisted, but when I brought it up later, Melissa turned it around. "You're imagining things," she said, eyes cold and unwavering. "Do you know how unattractive it is that you're so insecure?" I remember lying awake that night, wondering if maybe I was the problem. She was so confident in her version of events that I started doubting my own eyes, my own mind. Another time, she disappeared for hours without explanation. When I finally asked where she had been, she accused me of being controlling, of trying to police her every move. "I'm not your property," she snapped. I felt like I was going insane. Any attempt to seek clarity was twisted into evidence that I was clingy, jealous, or even abusive. And because I loved her, I believed her. But the biggest blow came later, when I discovered she wasn't just flirting, she was cheating. Not once, not with one person, but with multiple people. I found out through a mutual acquaintance who felt guilty keeping the secret. At first, I refused to believe it. The Melissa I knew, the one who held me when I cried, who told me I was her soulmate, she couldn't do that, could she? But when I confronted her with the evidence, she didn't deny it. She laughed. Actually laughed. "What did you expect?" she sneered. "You're too easy. You give, and you think that's attractive? It's pathetic." Her words shattered something inside me. For so long, I had bent over backwards trying to make her happy, trying to prove I was enough. And in that moment, I realized nothing I ever did would be enough for Melissa. She didn't want a partner. She wanted a victim, someone to feed her ego, to bankroll her life, to worship her even as she destroyed me piece by piece. Kicking her out was the hardest thing I've ever done. She screamed, threatened, and even tried to seduce me one last time, as if she thought I was still weak enough to cave. But something inside me had snapped. I changed the locks, blocked her number, and told mutual friends I didn't want to hear her name again. That should have been the end of it. But of course, Melissa wasn't done. She went on a smear campaign, painting me as controlling, abusive, manipulative. She spread lies so convincingly that some people believed her. Others stayed silent, unwilling to get involved. I felt alone, abandoned, and humiliated. There were nights I wanted to pick up the phone, to scream at her, to demand she stop. But I didn't. Because deep down, I knew engaging with her would only feed her fire. The aftermath was brutal. I was left with a hollow apartment, empty savings, and a reputation tainted by her lies. I had to rebuild from scratch, not just financially, but emotionally. I went to therapy, something I had always brushed off as unnecessary. My therapist helped me see patterns I hadn't recognized. The way Melissa isolated me, the way she manipulated my insecurities, the way she trained me to doubt my own instincts. Piece by piece, I started stitching myself back together. Reconnecting with my family was harder. They had tried to warn me, but I had pushed them away, convinced Melissa was the only one who understood me. Apologizing was painful, but they welcomed me back with open arms. My mother cried when I told her everything. My sister said she had known something was wrong, but didn't know how to reach me. Their forgiveness was like salve on a wound I had carried for too long. My friends were slower to return, but I can't blame them. They had watched me vanish into Melissa's world, ignoring their advice, canceling plans, defending her even when she was clearly in the wrong. Some friendships were beyond repair, but a few people surprised me. They showed up when I least expected it, reminding me that I wasn't as alone as Melissa had made me believe. Healing wasn't linear. There were nights I still dreamt about her, mornings when I reached for my phone instinctively, half expecting her messages. There were moments of weakness where I missed her. Not Melissa the manipulator, but the version of her I had fallen in love with, the one who made me feel seen and special. But I learned to remind myself that person was never real. She was a mask, carefully constructed to reel me in, discarded once she had me where she wanted. And now, as I tell this story, I do it not for sympathy, but as a warning. If you find yourself constantly second-guessing your reality, if you feel drained, isolated, or like nothing you do is ever enough, please pay attention. Those aren't signs of love. They're signs of control, of manipulation, of someone chipping away at your spirit. Melissa may have taken years of my life, but she didn't take my future. I'm stronger now, sharper, and far less willing to let anyone dim my light again. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this. Love should never make you feel small, and if it does, it isn't love at all.
Thank you so much for watching the entire video. Your time and attention mean the world to us, and it's amazing to know you stayed until the very end. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button to show your support and share your thoughts in the comments. We really want to hear what you think and interact with you. And of course, if you're not subscribed yet, click the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos. Every like, comment, and subscription helps us keep creating high-quality content and motivates us to bring new videos regularly. Your support truly makes a difference, and we're so grateful to have you here with us.